Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is really true, is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show on Hamilton Radio, guys. Everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass, guys, because 31 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 31 years later, through the grace of God, I can honestly say now I'm a smartass. Yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this, guys. You know, we've all had the roughest 3 years of our lives all over the world, right? And unfortunately, some have not made it, including family and friends of mine. And I want everybody out there to know that somebody is always listening. I'm a nutritional health coach, and I'm a recovery coach, and I'm always, always here for you. So please don't feel like you are alone, okay? All my services to you are free. If you think my book can help someone, because I do, you can go to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing, Barnes & Noble's, Amazon, BAM, it's everywhere, okay? Guys, listen, if you truly, truly, truly cannot afford my book, please reach out to me about that as well. You can go to my website, www.geripetito.com, and the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel. A lot of cool things going on. Okay, so please, please, please reach out. So guys, you know I always bring it, right? Well, I am really, really bringing it tonight, okay? Listen, I had to kick and scream to get this interview from this guy, all right? This guy right here, George Tuzzeo. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Finally.
And I want to start out by thanking you for all the good that you do. You know, besides all the stuff you just said, I'm talking about the music business. You're always promoting the music. You're always such an avid lover of this music and the artists and everything. So thank you.
You're welcome. You know, I always say I was born too late, George, because, you know, and I don't mind. I was born in 61, and a lot of the incredible music, 61 was a big year for all of it. You know,
oh, yes.
It was. Like, every time I hear something about this song, they're like, oh, 1961. I'm like, this is so cool. But I'm an Elvis, oldies, and doo-wop girl. And I laugh, and I'm like, I was born too late. So I have to keep this music alive because this music helped save my life. And I want to say something to you and all the musicians out there. You know, through the past few years, we all know who our essential workers were, and we thank them all, right? But musicians are at the top. Because you guys saved so many lives. You know how many people were bedridden, couldn't leave their homes? I mean, they would reach out to me and say, Geri, thank you for sharing so-and-so's song. It made them want to live. It made them want to live. And that's what music does, right?
Absolutely.
It feeds
That's
your
great
soul,
to hear.
right?
Yes.
So this guy right here, George Tuzzeo, I have to say, first of all, how I met him. And because we have to give a shout out, because if I don't, I will probably get smacked. Okay, to Mr. Jim Durkin. Okay, from Let East, baby. Yes, we love you, Jim.
Jim.
Yep,
Thank
it was
you,
because of Jim that I even got introduced to you. So
Yes.
I met you 2 years ago at Let East.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Well, that's a great.
Ruben, one of the owners of Hamilton Radio, our producer here today, he was with me, and he's in his 40s, so I always give him my phone or my business cards. I'm like, go do this, go do that. You know, he's like my son, and I'm like, I don't care, just do it, run, go do this. So we were all over the place, and we were there during all the rehearsals and everything. So here you are playing. I mean, I'm saying this guy's amazing. And I'm staring at you, and I'm like, he looks so familiar to me. Like, I got to know this guy. I got to know this guy. So long story short, concert's over. And, of course, I go right up to Jim. And he was like, yeah, you know, that's George Tuzzeo. And you're going to be talking about who you are. He ran out and grabbed you and made you come back in. You had your jacket on. Jim, I love you for that. And here we are. Yes, Jim, it took a very long time to get this guy, but we got him. So, George, I want you to properly introduce yourself. Tell everyone seriously who you are.
I am a keyboard player. I like to think that I play lots of different types of music. You know, I've been playing with some of these acts that you mentioned, the Drifters, the Crystals. I'm currently with Jay and the American. So I've been doing that for quite a few years. And what I really like is the variety of music that I play. You know, I do some stuff with just myself. You know, I play for some of these retirement and assisted living places during the week. And that's really fulfilling to see some of these people, you know, coming alive hearing the music. So, and all the great musicians I get to play with in some of the groups, you know, with the Duprees, the Drifters, the Crystals. They're such a joy to play with Bobby Wilson. And, of course, Pete and the Dakota Band. I know you know them. So I've been doing it for, how many years? Probably 50 years, believe it or not.
You've been doing it for about 50 years?
A lot, right? I'm giving it away.
Okay, you're giving it away is right, okay? I'm not asking him his age here, but he's just giving it away. He's been playing for about 50 years. I'm just repeating what he said. Continue.
Well, you know, I really got to love this music because my era, being that I gave it away, is, you know, the Beatles, the late 60s. And I thought there was so much going on in the late 60s. The British invasion, of course, and we had Motown, Soul, James Brown, Bobby Darin. I'm a big Sinatra fan. So I love it all.
So I want to ask you about some of these people that you've played with.
Yes.
Okay? I mean, I can't imagine. I really can't. I mean, all right, Bobby Rydell, I got to interview him. I got to interview a few of the Drifters. You know, Kenny Vance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you something. Playing with them, though, how was that? Like, I want the human side of you to tell us. Like, were you like on cloud nine, like deep down inside going, I can't believe this? Tell us.
Yes. And in fact, most of the acts are really nice people. They're just really so happy to be doing what they're doing and playing the music after all these years. So it's such a joy. And I do say most of them.
Most of it, right?
By far, most of them, yes.
So, all right.
And I like the
Go ahead.
challenge.
Continue.
We have a challenge of trying to make it sound like we've been playing with them for a long time, even though sometimes the band has just gotten together and, you know, we're just doing it for the first time and we had a run through during the sound check. So I like that challenge to be doing that, to making it sound good and giving them what they want.
Okay, so I'm not a musician, and I honestly don't get it. I really don't. I was married to a drummer, so I had to listen to it all day long. All right, whatever. But, you know, musical notes, and I'm fascinated by all that because I can't even imagine knowing how to read them and then putting them to the instrument. So when you're asked to play with someone, okay?
Yes.
And you've never played with them before, but you're all going to play a song that's familiar. You're all going to play an oldie song. Okay, whatever. And they're saying, you know what, let's just mess around. Let's just play. You guys are capable of just doing that, right?
Well, most of the time they get us charts, the charts for their music. That's the manuscript for their music. And they usually get us that several days or weeks in advance. So we have time to look at that and, you know, listen to their recordings and such and then put it all together. Once in a while, an artist will come in and say, well, I don't do charts. Yeah, just play. So that's kind of fun too, as long as most of the time the songs are fairly simple for musicians that have been playing a lot of years. So it's a little bit of both. But most of the time we get the charts in advance. Like last year, in fact, they're doing the Mall Chop Cruise right now, right?
Okay.
I worked the Malt Shop Cruise last year, and we backed a lot of acts on that. The Drifters, the Coasters, the Elegants, Vito. And one of the hardest was Darlene Love. Her stuff was kind of difficult, but it was great, and I really enjoyed that challenge.
Okay.
So it takes a lot of experience having done it to go in there and do that. You got to deal with the equipment, whether that's right or not. A lot of things to think about.
Okay, but hold that thought. So, say, all right, you're invited to my barbecue. I'm having a barbecue, right? And I have a keyboard there. Just say, right? And you don't know it, but this guitar player is going to be there. And this singer is going to be there. Whatever. And I say to you guys, do something right now. You're capable of that, though, right?
Yes. Well, it's a little touchy when you don't know the other musicians. That's a little nerve-wracking, but you're playing and your ears are going at the same time. You're paying attention to whatever else. That's what's so much fun about music and playing with different bands and ensembles and such. You're always listening to the other person, what to do.
But aren't the songs the same?
I'm sorry?
But, aren't the songs always played the same song always played, or is it played differently by different musicians?
Well, there's some of the basic ones, like, say, Mustang Sally.
Okay.
I mean, you're not going to change that too much, I don't think. And
okay.
So the basic stuff is simple, Under the Boardwalk, a song that everybody knows, everyone's familiar with. So, but then the other songs that are not so typical, and that's where the challenge comes in.
Okay. So.
But I think I would come to your barbecue on my motorcycle.
That would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that.
All right. So I want to ask you a couple questions, and then I want you to give us a little tiny treat. Anything you want to do. 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever you want to do, George. All right. So I have a question for you. Tom Jones.
Yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was a couple of years ago. That was in '76.
Okay.
Living in Las Vegas at the time. I went to University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And, you know different musicians, and someone recommends you. And we were, the opening act was a group called The Love Machine. 7 black girls out there in front, singing and dancing, and great show. And Tom decided he wanted that in his show. So he took the whole band, all of us together on tour that year. And we even played the Art Center. So, and I'm looking for, by the way, if anyone happens to have any pictures of that, I never got any pictures of that show, which was '76 at the Art Center with Tom Jones and the Love Machine.
Are you kidding?
But he was great. We got to tour with him, and he was such a nice guy. We stopped and talked if you wanted to strike up a conversation. He was very cool about that. So
you don't have one photo with you and Tom Jones?
No.
If I was there, you'd have 100, right?
Of course, this was way before.
It doesn't matter. Okay, there were cameras. Okay.
Right, the camera.
I brought cameras wherever I went. Okay.
I know. Well, hopefully, maybe someone's got something.
Okay, we have to find out. We have to get you a photo. All right. So now, do the honors.
There's another cool thing I'm trying to get. This group, the Love Machine, they were great. We did while we were with him, we played Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, and at that time, Caesar's Palace was the room of the whole town. So it was a real big deal. And coincidentally, Merv Griffith happened to be doing his show at the same time. So with the Love Machine, we got to be on the Merv Griffith show. So I'm trying to get that recording also. I think you have to buy the whole series of Merv Griffith shows to get that.
Oh, wow.
But I'll get it because I got the I got the date and I got the show number somewhere.
That is so cool.
I'm going to track that down.
So cool. Before I ask you some more questions, why don't you give us a little treat?
This one for you, Jerry.
All right, baby.
Use my back.
Listen, I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you for that. Okay, I needed that to say that. Here we go, guys. George Tuzzeo, right here on the Geri Petito Show, Hamilton Radio, just played for us. Okay, thank you. Amazing, amazing. So, all right. How was it playing with Bobby Rydell?
As you know, he's such a sweet man, right?
Yep.
He's such a sweet guy. And the contrast between him and his drummer is kind of interesting, too. But the last time, I played with him a couple of times, and the last time was at the Mercer County Italian Festival. It was right before, I guess, it must have been 19, right?
Okay.
And that was thanks to Pete Mastropolo.
Yep.
I'm sure you know Pete, right? He got me on that one. And that was a little tricky. I was a little worried about his music because he's one of the acts that doesn't like to send you the music beforehand. So you got to get it, look at it, and make it happen. So there was a delay or something. And I said to his musical director, you know, can I look at the charts while we're waiting? He said, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And we're sitting around waiting for hours, of course. And the music's up there, and I'm going crazy. I could just be looking at that. But anyway, it came across. He gave good direction, and Bobby came on. And there's a couple of times in his show where he would turn around and say, you know, start whatever it was. I do some background music to some of the dialogue that he's talking about when he did that Bobby Darin medley. So that was really nice. And he was always just so friendly. And a couple of times before, we took pictures with him, and he's so accommodating.
So
And since then, I look at some of the stuff he's done in his career, and oh, it's fabulous. He's done so much.
Yeah. Yep.
Not the least of which is getting to hang out with Anne Margaret in that movie.
So, who were the members of the Drifters when you got to play with them?
I've played with now 4 different versions of the Drifters.
Yep.
But I think you'll agree the most legitimate was Charlie Thomas's Drifters, right?
Yep. Okay.
Charlie Thomas was on, I believe, most of the hit records. But the Drifters, they're a group that was in transition from the very beginning.
Yep.
You know that they're very well known since the movie version of White Christmas.
Yeah.
That was the original Drifters with Clyde McPhatter, and that was recorded in 1953. So amazing stuff. And then a couple of years later, they changed. They changed to a whole different band, became the Drifters, like in must have been 55 or somewhere in there. And that was the group, that was the version with several different singers and Benny King that had all those great hit records, Up on the Roof, Under the Boardwalk.
Crazy.
You know, There Goes My Baby, so many. So Charlie is a sweetheart. You know Charlie, I'm sure.
We had Charlie Jr. in the studio recently, in our new studio.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I played with him on the cruise last year.
Yeah.
So they're doing it, and it's great. Lots of fun. They're very nice guys. Such a great group to work with.
So now, okay, you're playing with Memories Music.
Memories Music, Jim.
So give everyone a shout out. Tell everyone who the members are.
Well, the real joy is playing with Hal Keshner.
Yep.
You know, he's been the director for a few different acts, and he's kind of doing similar to what I'm doing, playing with all these different acts on the circuit. But he and I went to high school together.
Oh.
Paramus High School. And of course, we were both keyboard players, so we were never in the same band. So we're just really enjoying being in the same band together because it never happened before. And it's such a joy because he's so easy to work with. He does the basic piano stuff. He said, you do all the icing on the cake. So I do the string and organ, the other sounds. And that's a joy. And of course, Jim Durkin, the leader. Thank you, Jim. And then there's Jim Stanton, the other guitar player. Alan Bowles, you know Alan?
Yep.
Alan Bowles, Cindy Taylor.
Yep.
And once in a while we get a horn section or two. And Butch Holland, the bass player. He was just down in AC playing with the Capris. Is that right? I think the Capris, yes.
Michael D'Amore is the new lead singer of the Capris. He's my buddy.
Yeah, Michael's great. I played a New Year's Eve job with him down in Florida a couple of years ago. It was such a joy. He too, Michael is so easy to work with. He's such an easygoing guy and very accommodating. And he always puts on a fabulous show.
I laugh and I always say this. I say that Elvis is here. Come on, right? Elvis is here, guys. Elvis is here. All right. And I always say, and Michael's right under him. Okay? And I mean that until Carter Rubin, the kid, okay? Listen, and I booted Michael third. I said, all right, and they're friends. They're all friends in the family. And I said, all right, listen. So when I interviewed Carter, I was like, listen, Michael's listening. You're right under Elvis, Carter, and now Michael's under you. I said, so Michael's down third, okay? So, all right, so Reuben.
Great lineup.
Wait, go ahead. I'm sorry, George.
I was saying that's a great lineup you got there.
It's a great lineup, right?
Yes.
Incredible singers. So, okay, why don't we play one of the tracks?
Oh, okay. Which one are you going to play first? Do you know?
Which one are you going to play first? Do the other one. What's the title?
One is America and one is Trouble Drop By. One has vocals, one doesn't.
Let's see what he's doing. Oh, okay. Okay, America. Want to do that first?
Okay, so that was recorded by the USA Band up in Canada. We just happened to have the opportunity to record it. The guys were ready to go when we were doing a sound check. So it's myself on organ and piano, and Rick Van Horn on drums, and Ray Longchamp on guitar, and Billy Corsten, unfortunately, is no longer with us. He was our bass player with Jane Americans on bass. So, and the beginning is kind of Keith Emerson's version of America from West Side Story, and then it kind of goes into a little bit of the original feel.
Okay.
So,
hit it, Reuben.
Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Sounded good on my end. Now I don't hear Jerry.
Talk. It was still
Oh, there we
going.
go. I got you now.
Oh, it was still, okay. So we had a delay. All right, that's why I could hear it, and I was like, okay. So awesome, awesome, awesome. So I have a question about all this. How old were you when you first started playing?
Well, I don't really count it, but way back, when I was a youngster, the accordion was popular, and I played the accordion for about, well, it didn't really last very long, about a year and a half.
Okay.
But I really started playing just before I started driving, like at 16.
Okay.
So for me, 16 years old was the first for a couple of things, you know, that one thing. And first time I started playing, the first time I drove a car, first time I flew in a plane.
But wait,
So,
but wait a minute. So what made you say I want to do this?
okay, so when the Beatles came, that sort of changed everything.
Okay.
You know, a lot of these groups weren't too happy about that big change that happened at the time, but it was really different. And that's when I really started listening. And then a couple of the groups came. The Animals had an organ player, which really appealed to me, Alan Price. And of course, the Rascals. And they were Jersey guys, or Eddie was. Anyway, Eddie's a Jersey guy, and Felix was from around here. But listening to him play that organ, it was such a big part of their sound. That's what got me into it. And one more guy, Billy Preston, watching him on Shindig, he was playing that Hammond B3, and he was having such a good time playing that organ. I said, that's what I want to do.
So now your parents were supporters of this?
Yeah, I had to do what you did. I had to really twist their arm to go out and buy an organ. But they did. They bought me a small Hammond organ to start with, and at the time, the late 60s, you know, you almost had to have, you know what the Hammond B3 is? A big Hammond organ?
No.
I'm sure you've seen it. It's a big, they're still using it now. You see it on stages all the time. It's a big wooden Hammond organ that's got this wonderful sound, and the way it plays, everything is just beautiful. And this was way before all these keyboards that can do such great piano sounds and great organ sounds and everything else. So that was the sound you had to have.
Oh.
Almost. A lot of groups did without it and made their own, like the Doors. He had that either the Vox Continental or Farfisa organ, and he made it part of the Doors sound, and it was fabulous.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So
Hey, there's another organ I want to talk about. The guy Johnny Rogers. Did you see that that clip I had on Facebook with Johnny Rogers?
Yes. Okay, talk about it.
Yeah, I've been working with him for about how many years? About seven years, I think. Mostly in Florida. He's from Chicago/Tennessee, and he's been spending, like me, some winters in Florida. So a mutual friend, Billy Corsten, hooked us up. He said, you know, call him, you can play with him. And his main thing is he does a tribute to Buddy Holly. And he also does Elvis and Johnny Cash. He's a great impressionist. He does lots of acts. And he does a whole country show also. But he's a fabulous entertainer. He's going to be up here, I think, in the spring. And we'll do some shows together. And I'm going to make sure you come to one of those shows.
You have to hook me up with him.
Yeah, you're going to love him. He's a great entertainer and a lot of fun.
Okay.
So, and also I learned through him, I learned a lot about Buddy Holly, which, you know, I knew who he was, but I didn't realize how very influential Buddy Holly was. I mean, everybody recorded his songs, from the Beatles, the Stones, Linda Ronstadt. So many acts recorded Buddy's songs. So it's such a shame that he had died so young.
Right.
But he was great.
So I want to ask you about, okay, so I was born and raised in Long Island City, New York.
Yes.
I've been in Jersey for about 50 years. So Steinway and Sons. Tell me about it.
Can you see it okay? Yeah, I worked for Steinway. I was in the piano business. That was my main day gig for many years, going back to probably starting in about 1980. And I worked for most of the local dealers selling Yamaha, Baldwin, and whatever else was around there. At the time, organs were still popular, so I was selling Hammond organs. But then, when was it about? It was 92. I got a call from the vice president of Steinway. He said someone had recommended me, and they were thinking about opening up a factory-owned retail outlet in New Jersey. So he interviewed me, and that's how it started. I started working for Steinway. I found this venue, the location, which is on Route 17 in Paramus. A lot of people know that location. So I found that for Steinway, opened it up, and we did all design. It used to be, the building was an oil change place, but we used to,
Wow.
we fixed it all up. We redid the entire building, and it's still going strong now. But the company itself has such an amazing history. I mean,
Yeah.
it was founded in 1853. So they got tremendous history. I mean, that's around the time, that was before Lincoln was president, I think. Is that right?
Crazy?
So they go way back, and it's such a joy walking around that factory in Long Island City.
Oh,
They used to do tours, and they would take you walking around, showing you different departments, and they do all this stuff, you know, almost like in primitive ways. Like you can't see it, but the shape of the grand piano's got this beautiful curve, right? And the new companies, most of the Asian companies, they got these giant presses, and it just presses the wood together. But at the Steinway factory, about 6 strong guys carry these planks of wood, wrap it around the press, and muscle it into shape after these pieces of wood have been glued, and then with clamps, little by little, get it into the shape of the grand piano that you see. And it's several layers of maple for the rim of the piano. So a very interesting company. And then this Steinway Hall, which is on 57th Street. Have you been there?
Not to that one, no.
Well, they have since moved, but they opened up that store in 1925. It's almost right across the street from Carnegie Hall. And so many of these amazing classical pianists would go through those doors, and they had special rooms where they would practice, and they would come there to select the concert grand piano that they were going to do a performance on at Carnegie Hall. So all the amazing pianos would come through there. And then in later years, they got to have more contemporary artists like Billy Joel is a Steinway artist, and Diana Krall, lots of people. So great company.
So, all right, we mentioned a lot of people here that you've played with, okay? So, did you not mention certain people on here that the world would know? Are there any other legends that you're like,
Well,
wow?
Before I was with Geri and the Americans, I've been with them about 14 years.
Okay,
Before that, I was with Larry Chance and the Earls.
there you go, baby.
That was kind of my first experience in playing with these in this circuit. You know, and you know Larry well, I'm sure.
Yep.
You have to love him, right? Larry
Well, I love him so much. My aunt, who passed away, God rest her soul, she introduced me to him. And Larry he just stole a piece of my heart from day one.
He's great. He's great. And that was a lot of fun. And I got to do one of those PBS specials with him. That was a great experience.
That's
So
beautiful.
that's still out there. That's another thing I'm trying to find. That day we recorded 4 songs, and they aired Remember Then, of course, and I Believe. And that's been played over and over, and they remix it with different combinations of songs and acts, and that guy has done a wonderful job for this whole business. But that was a great experience, and Larry's great. And
So about how old were you when you played with Larry Chance?
all right, so that was 30. I don't know, how old was I? I started with them. Must have started with them about 2000.
Okay.
I was 50.
Okay.
Nope. I gave it away.
Yay, gave it away. I love that. Okay, yes. Okay, so
Oh,
Ruben.
there's another thing I want to mention that I do. I've been playing occasionally here or there some musicals. I recently got into that at a local high school around here, and I'm amazed at how well these young kids do with you know, when you're doing a musical, there's a ton of songs, there's all these entrances, different harmonies, and there's a lot going on. And I'm amazed at these young kids how well they do with that. So for me, the first couple that I did were quite a challenge, but I enjoyed it, and it worked out well. And just recently, earlier this year, I did the musical Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
For real?
Yeah, it was great, and it was a local high school, you know, but there was, you know, quite a production. And what they do is the musical director will hire a couple of pros to play along with the students. You know, and that particular school they hired, there was myself, a violinist, a trumpet player, a wind player. So there was a few pros in there. The bass player was a professional. So it was really a nice sound. It was a good combination of instruments, between strings and woodwinds and brass. Lots of fun.
So,
And,
all right.
that's
So, wait, I have a question about the musical. Wait, hold that thought, because I don't want to forget to ask you this. So you're on stage with all these young people with this musical?
Yes. Well, we call it the pit, which is right in front of the stage usually.
No, but
right?
I mean, you're playing with all these young people.
Yes, correct.
And what were the songs? Like, what kind of music?
Well, you know the one.
Yes.
The Candyman, obviously, and I'm trying to think if there's another one that you would know out of that show. There's probably a couple of songs that I'm not thinking of.
That's pretty cool.
Months ago, so.
All right, continue.
I deleted all of that stuff out of my memory banks, But that was great fun, and I like it because I'm playing with these people that are like 30, 40, 50 years younger than me, and then the next day I'll be playing at these senior places where the average age is, maybe 90, 85 or 90. So it's all lots of fun.
I love that. All right, and I hope they understand and realize who was playing for them.
Yes. Well.
I hope so. Ruben, you want to hit us with the next track? Do you want to tell us about it first, George?
Yes, this is a great one. A friend of mine that I went to high school with, and I moved to Florida, and I hadn't seen him in many years, at least 20 years. And then there was another mutual friend that kind of reconnected us, and he was saying he remembered me as an organ player, and he was saying he was recording his second or third CD, and he was wondering if I might come down there and play on it. And he was such a nice guy. He said, to tell you the truth, I couldn't pay him, have any money, but it'll be lots of fun. And we were talking about this, and so finally it happened because he knew that I make occasional trips to Florida, and I had some good friends in the Palm Coast area, which is not far from where the studio was. I said, yeah, there's a great Hammond organ there, Hammond V3 you can play, and so his name is Vince Jeffs, and unfortunately he has since passed away a few years ago, but he was a great guitar player, and he wrote a lot of great songs. He's singing on this particular track, singing and playing some really nice guitar solos. So take it away.
Take it away, Ruben.
Trouble dropped by this morning, left its card RSVP. Trouble dropped by this morning, left its card RSVP. Well, no thank you, little cutie. I can make my own trouble all by myself, so walk on that dude. Go drop on someone else. Does anybody see my peaches? She left here on the run. Anybody see my babe? She's my only one. Heading out for the country, yes, out on that old highway 109. I can't forget you, darling. Your sweet ways are on my mind. All right. Eyes are blue and whoa, man. Anybody see my babe? She's my only one. She's heading out for the country. Yes, out on that old highway 109. I can't forget you, darling. Your sweet ways are on my mind. Look out. and left its card RSVP. Trouble dropped by my door. Steph left its card RSVP. Well, no thank you, little cutie. I can manufacture my own trouble all by myself. So walk on, bad news. Walk on, bad news. Walk on, bad news. Go drop on someone else.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Amazing, amazing.
Trouble dropped by, huh? It does happen.
I love that soulful sound.
Yes, yeah, very nice.
So, okay. So I'm going to ask you some silly questions now. I love asking a lot of my legendary musicians and singers this question, okay? You've worked with and met so many incredible people. Was there one in particular that really took a piece of your heart with, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like the best or not, but there's always that one person, no matter what it is and what you're doing, right? Was there that one person? And was there someone you always wanted to meet that you never got the opportunity in the business?
I'll start with the last question first.
Okay.
Sinatra. I always wanted to meet Sinatra, and unfortunately, I came very close because a friend of mine, his dad, knew the musicians, and I had seen Frank a couple of times at Caesars in Las Vegas, and that friend of mine, Gary Bavona, his father knew Frank well and knew the band. So all the band, Irv Kotler and Bill Miller, his piano player, musical director, were at the house one day, and we got to hang out with those guys. And we were going to go meet Frank during the sound check the next day. So my friend met him the day before. We went there that day, and they were rehearsing the relief band. And the rehearsal wasn't going well, and Frank was in a bad mood. And when you walked into Caesar's Palace, everyone there knew that Frank was in a bad mood. That's how it was. So no, you better not go in there today. He's not going well, and Frank's mad. But I did get to see him 3 different times, and it was fabulous each time.
Okay.
What was the other question? Oh, who did I really like?
Yes, who like, I hate saying it that way, but yes, who made a super impact on you?
Very recently, thanks once again to Pete Mastropolo, got to play this show with Billy Vera. You know Billy Vera? And that was quite, his songs are great. Now, his songs are all originals, and most of us didn't know too many of them except for At This Moment, fabulous song. And so we're doing the rehearsal, and I said, we got to meet him earlier. And I said, really, we just love your songs. And we talked about it. The whole band really enjoyed his songs, learning his songs. And when it came to that song, At This Moment, that's a very special song. He said, let me just show you the feel of what I'm thinking about. And he sat down, I got a picture of it. He sat down at the piano, and my piano, and played it and sang it. And I'm just there, kind of with my mouth open, just watching this. It was just so magical. So that was really a special time, and playing with him. And have you met him yet?
No.
You got to meet him. He's great.
So hook it up.
Did that theme to King of Queens?
Sure.
That's him singing that one.
So hook me up, Sweet Pea.
I think he lives in California, so he's very good friends with Larry. So being that you and Larry are like that.
Okay. All right. Talk to my Larry boy.
I've been seeing it. At that particular concert, which was in White Plains, we did a version, and they wanted to sing something together. And they sang a duet on Stand By Me. And they have since gone into the studio and recorded that. A little bit of a different feel, more of a jazzy feel to Stand By Me. But you'll see that here and there. Check it out.
Okay, well.
So very interesting stuff.
Okay, another silly question for you. Do you remember what the first record was that you bought?
Had to be a Beatles record.
Okay.
Beatles, or I also like the Dave Clark Five. They were around the same time, and they were giving the Beatles a run for their money. Maybe I really loved. There was a song called "Bits and Pieces," and it started out with the It was a real driving beat. So that may have been the first one. Or, no, it had to be House of the Rising Sun by the
Oh,
Animals.
okay. Okay. I always
There's
like to
another great
guess that.
story you'll like. You happen to know the name Barry Newman?
Sure.
He's a promoter, singer, performer, everything. He was hooked up with J.T. Carter. I think you know him. Anyway, he used to get me lots of cool jobs down in Florida. And he got me one with the Crystals. And I said, okay, you're also going to pick them up at the airport. You do the job. We played a show along with the Broken Bridge, and Johnny Maestro was there at the time. So we did that show, and then we got a couple of shows on the west coast of Florida. That was in, where was that one? That was in Boca Raton, and then we were going to go to Bonita. So he said, you're going to drive them there. So, great. So we load up the car the next day, and I had a Marvin Gaye record on there, and I'm playing that. And they started singing along with the record, and it was the most amazing sound. Do you know them? Do you know the Crystals?
Yes, of course.
They're fabulous, right,
my
Dee Dee?
goodness.
And they started singing along with this record, and it was the most beautiful thing I ever heard. He was singing along with these great Marvin Gaye songs, and it just sounded so fabulous. So that was a great memory that I had with them. And then the shows were all really cool, too. I really enjoyed that.
It's sort of
When
like
you call me, Dee Dee, time for you to call me again to do another show.
it's sort of like, street corner sounds, just getting
Yeah.
together and just singing.
When I first got with Larry Chant and the Earls, I knew that's how it started singing.
Yes.
And one of the first jobs was somewhere in the Bronx. I said, Larry, show me where it was. I'm really a fanatic about rock and roll history, and how it evolved and stuff. And I said, man, where was it? Wow, over there somewhere. I didn't pay much attention to that stuff, but I love learning new stuff, and the story with Buddy Holly and such. And by the way, Wildwood, New Jersey claims to be the birthplace of rock and roll, although a lot of places claim that, because Bill Haley and the Comets introduced Rock Around the Clock in Wildwood, New Jersey. It was Memorial Day 1954. There's a big, beautiful mural on the building down there about that.
Okay.
Really cool.
So I have a question for you. Do you think that really was the first?
That's really a tough question.
I know, because people
Well-
have so many different things to say about that.
Yes. It wasn't the first, but it was the first I think maybe it was the first to be a million seller.
Okay.
But it kind of had a double life because, and there was an interesting story about this too. They introduced that song and did it, and they recorded it that April in New York. And somehow, the son of Glenn Ford, who was in the movie The Blackboard Jungle,
Okay.
had that record. He said, Dad, this is great. You got to hear it. And by that route, they used that song in the movie. And of course, the movie was a big movie, so that gave it really another, like a double life there. So, but it was a great song at the time. Before that, Fats Domino had records. He had a song called The Fat Man, I think, in 1949 or 50. And Ike Turner and, I forgot the other guy's name. That song called Rocket 88. Most of them were basic kind of blues things, kind of blues, up tempo with so yeah, the exact rock and roll sort of evolved. If you go to the Rock and Roll Museum in Cleveland, you'll see how. Have you been there?
I've been invited several times, and they're going to give me a tour and the whole bit. I'm going to
Great.
get interviewed at the station there. And
Oh, you're gonna
it's
be in heaven.
going
Love it.
to happen, okay? It's going to happen.
Good, make it happen. You'll have a blast too.
Yes.
It's great. But yeah, anyway, rock and roll is kind of a combination of I would say mostly blues, well, from the blues, some
Yeah.
country, some gospel. Elvis brought a lot of gospel
Yep.
into it.
Amazing.
So I love this rock and roll history stuff.
I do too. I love asking weird questions because the people that are listening love hearing, like, for instance, what you have to say about the groups you've played with. They love hearing that. What you have to say about your history in the music. They want to hear that. They want to hear you on a personal level. So
Yeah.
they love hearing it from the people. And those are the kind of interviews that I like to do because we don't really know a lot of the stuff that you guys know.
Mm-hmm.
You'll bring to the table something that, for instance, and this is silly, but this Steinway and Sons. I knew about Steinway and Sons my whole life growing up, because of where I grew up, but when I saw it on I was like, what? He knows it, and he worked there, and it was just so cool to me, right? So it makes us know each other more on a personal level, and that's what everybody likes hearing, that kind of stuff. So
there's another group I mentioned, being that you're talking like this about the groups. I'm sure you know them, Barbara Harris and the Toys.
Well, I interviewed her and all the Toys and the girl group, and yes, amazing, amazing, amazing.
They're great, and Barbara Harris is such a sweetheart. They're such a joy to work with, and her husband Kenny. Kenny, I'm waiting for you to call me. It's been a while now. I didn't get a Christmas card, nothing.
Get on it, Kenny.
I'm always looking forward to the next time I play with them. So I do such a variety. There's a few other people that I went to high school with and played in high school with. Rich Levy, the drummer, he plays with us with the Toys. And Chuck Figaro, my very dear best friend. So many other people, Mike Gunderman, that I still get to play with some of these guys, that we play with. Gary Vaccaro. We play the Paramus 4th of July parade for so many years in a row, and that's so much fun. So there's I really enjoy this variety of music and musical situations.
Do you
Of
still?
course, the older I get, the more I'm trying to find places where there's a nice piano there, where I walk into the place, sit down at the piano, and play it.
So do you still get like butterflies sometimes with certain people you're playing with?
Yes. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you can say that.
Okay, good.
Some of the stuff like that really, Bobby Wilson, I know you know him.
Well, oh my gosh. So I got to meet him. He came live in studio. And
Yes.
I love him. Well, first of all, so I used to hang out with the Four Tops back in the 80s.
Oh, nice.
Okay. And Levi Stubbs is the one who approached Bobby
Oh,
about
really?
his dad. And so that connection, I was like, but I used to hang out with Levi. He was my friend, the whole bit. So when I met Bobby, it was like the stories were just endless, and it was just amazing. And who didn't love his father, right? Who didn't love his father? Elvis loved his father. And he said some beautiful things about Elvis taking care of his father's bills. And so listen,
Amazing.
I love him.
Amazing.
Yeah. Beautiful. And J.T. Carter, we briefly mentioned him. I love him too. That was an incredible interview. And I'm just honored. I feel like I get butterflies every single time, even with this interview. I can't tell you how many times I've talked about this interview. And of course, I made fun of you, and then said, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to finally interview him, and I got to hug him, and here we are.
Excuse me.
So, all right, I want to ask you another question, and then,
Yes.
I'll let you say whatever else you want to say before we close, but I want to ask you another question. All right, so me growing up, okay, again, I said to you that I feel like I was born too late because of my oldies, doo-wop, and Elvis, but I also loved the music I grew up with. I also went to all the concerts, Led Zeppelin and Foreigner and, whatever, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What other kind of music did you like listening to?
Are you familiar with the band called Tower of Power?
Power?
Tower of Power.
Oh, yes.
They're big, powerful, tight as could be horn band. Fabulous. And they've been around for, since at least the 70s, I think the mid 70s, maybe even the early 70s. Fabulous band. Real funk. And another of my favorites was Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Oh, yeah, come on.
I just been listening to some of that stuff recently because, listen to this, Carl Palmer is going to be doing a show at William Patterson College coming up.
That's pretty cool.
And it's one of those things where he had his own band called ELP Legacy, which they were playing the songs, but there was no vocals and there was no Keith Emerson, of course, unfortunately.
Right.
But they put together this show where they're going to play along with some live footage of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Greg Lake, and Keith Emerson on the screen. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm going to go see that. Keith Emerson was just such an amazing keyboard player, composer, artist, everything. Incredible stuff. Now his stuff, now I know a lot of this stuff very well. I have some of the music, and I still can't play it.
Wait, for real? Are you being serious?
Yeah, some of his stuff is so difficult. I mean, you got to really spend, like a classical piano player would spend hours and hours, practicing like one particular section, one particular piece. He was that good.
Okay. I wouldn't have expected you to say that. Okay. So I learned something today. All right. Even you can be stumped with the keyboard. All right. All right. I got that. So, all right. Before we come to the close of the show, I want to give you the mic. I want you to, in case there was anything, I don't care, whatever it was, another story, anything you'd like to get out, how people can get in touch with you, what's happening that you want to make sure you remember to tell everybody, maybe in the area. The mic is yours.
Thank you, Jerry. This is so nice. Let's see, we have a couple of shows coming up. We just finished a couple with Geri the American, so we don't have any in the area that coming up in the near future, but I'll be down in Florida playing with Johnny Rogers. I want you to all keep Johnny Rogers in mind. He's an amazing entertainer, and we're trying to book some more shows up here in the New York, New Jersey metro area. He's got a few coming up. We want to add to that and get them going here. So please keep that in mind, and that's about it. You can get in touch with me by way of Facebook.
Yep.
And such a joy being with you here, Jerry.
This was so great. It finally happened, guys. Yes, yes, yes. I wasn't lying. I had to kick and scream to get this guy. Okay? This was so cool hanging out with you. And I love you sitting by your piano. I just love that. And I wore a hat because I know you love me in hats.
Yeah. I should have worn a hat too today, right? I'm not having such a good hair day today.
Oh, God. So, all right. Again, thank you to Jim Durkin for making sure this guy personally met me, okay, a couple of years ago. So thank you for that. I want to personally thank you, all kidding aside, for doing this interview for me, because it really, really, truly did mean a lot to me. All right. Again, the music is what's most important.
Yes.
And no matter what people are going through, George, and you know this as well as I do, no matter what people are going through, when they hear music, it just does something. It keeps them going. And even little kids, right? You could have a 6-month-old baby in a bouncy. You put music on, they start bouncing. No one's telling them to do that. So music is absolutely innate. And, so whenever I get an opportunity to interview an incredible musical legend like yourself, it just, and I mean this, okay? You made my year, because these are the interviews that mean the most to me, okay? Because what you're doing still to this day for people out there, I can't even tell you. I get emails, I get messages on a regular basis from these people, and I know it's been because of a terrible 3 years. I know that but the music is what's kept them going. So every time I get another message from someone, I get tears in my eyes. I'm like, they need this music, and I will do everything and anything in my power to continue to keep this music alive. I don't care what it takes. So you're honoring me today, and I really, truly mean that, and I want to thank you for that. I want to
thank you for all you do for the music, and you seem to care so much about people. That's really beautiful.
I love people. I love good people. I'm not perfect. I don't love bad people. I'm supposed to, but I don't, Listen, my email is www.jdjerry. What would Jesus do, Jerry? And that's the reason why it's my email, is because it keeps me from smacking people. I have to always say, okay, Jar, what would Jesus do right now? I want to read a poem for you out of my book. The reason I choose this poem whenever I do entertainers is because everyone out there listening, you have to understand something. Number one, age is just a number. It's never, ever too late. And we all have talents and gifts that we were born with, okay? It's up to us to find out what they are and utilize them, okay, and give it back. So, you know, I interviewed a woman years ago, maybe 5 years ago, who was in her late 80s. Okay, George? Her
Yes.
daughter worked local and approached me and said, my mother just wrote a book. Would you interview her? I said, are you kidding me? I didn't care if the book was terrible. The book was incredible. So she was at the time, maybe 88 or 89 at the time. So she gives me her book, and I go to Florida to read it because I'm going to be interviewing her when I get back. I was crying on the plane the whole time. First of all, the book was over 300 pages, so it wasn't like this little book. And it was about her family coming from Poland to Ellis Island. And my dad's family came there. The book was amazing. But here's what's really cool. When she hit 90, she wrote part 2. Then she passed away after that, but I got to interview her twice. So I'm saying that so that everyone out there understands it's never too late. I did not write my book until I was in my 50s. I did not start radio, guys, until I was in my 50s. So it's never too late. I'm going to read this poem because everyone needs to hear it, especially if you're struggling with, should you do something? Yes, you should. Utilizing gifts and talents. We are born with talents, we are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry and to talk without restraint. Our gifts and talents should all be used, God's gift to us not be abused. We can go far in life for sure, using our gifts to go on tour. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them, to even up the score. You see, in life what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living we can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. Don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. Put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate. All your talents, my friend, are never second rate. Never hold them back or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. Our gifts were made to share, our talents made to soar. Go through life enlightened, then you can roar. Be proud of who you are. Be happy you're alive. Once again, my friend, your gifts will help you thrive. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, your name will live forever, Georgie, forever and a day. Go through life excited for what you sure can give to yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. Make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. And that's what you've done for people, and I want to thank you for that.
Wow, that's very inspiring. Very inspiring. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
So thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot wait to see you again. You made my day. I love you, and thanks for honoring us here on Hamilton Radio. Everybody, George Tuzzeo.
Should I play us off?
Huh?
Should I play us off?
Okay, Ruben, you know what? Don't take us out with my theme song. Take us out with this.
Oh, no.
No. Go for it. What, are you kidding me? Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Amazing, Georgie. George Tuzzeo, everybody. Love you.
Have a good one. Have a good one. Thank you so much, Geri.
Amazing.
Keep the great music going.